Good morning, rejects. Are you new to Zealot? Do you need an easy Auric level beginner build to get the ball rolling in a steady downpour of heretics being purged? Excellent! Then the Nay Problem Nay Morekin or NPNMK Easy Tank Support is for you. The Scottish or Irish Zealot, honestly, I can never tell the difference, is the perfect beginner build for high clear rate with plenty of solid damage from martyrdom to still be contributing to the overall team damage. This build maximizes as much brittleness as possible with the Thunderhammer and Boltgun. Also, just a quick correction to a previous video, I described brittleness as team rending or like armor penetration, but for some reason, my dumbass forgot about the word debuff. So yes, brittleness is an enemy debuff instead of like team rending. I have no idea why I described it like team rending on an enemy, which is like the long dumb way of explaining it, but hey, I never claimed to be smart. Of course, step 1 is fashion. To look as snazzy as possible, I take this armor set from the cash shop, but if you don't want to spend real world dollars, go for the fake world dollars and buy this Docket set. For an instant billion damage buff, take the Beta Helm because that's what the B stands for. Billion damage, not beta. Take some black pants, your choice of that cosmetic. And of course, we ride with the Emperor approved Thick Stash. 2 C's in both thick and stash. Step 2 is going to be weapons. Like I said before, we want the Thunderhammer and Boltgun. First, we want to focus on the Ironhelm Thunderhammer. Damage and penetration are your priority stat, with defense being your dump stat. This weapon has some bombastic blessings, but the 2 we want are Slaughterer and Thunderous. You can switch out Slaughterer for like Head Taker since it stacks on like enemy hit, but you get more of a power boost with Slaughterer, so that's just my preferred. Thunderous is required as this is our melee on hit brittleness provider, which is just scrum diddly umptious. For the Thunderhammer perks, I like Unyielding and Carapace. These 2 perks will help you clear the most annoying enemies such as Crushers and Maulers. Unyielding to me is a must-have for this build. Not only are you doing more damage to bosses, but with this build it will allow you to one-shot mutants without having to go stack buffs. Simply activate your power weapon, charge up a heavy, and hit it in the head. Demonstrated here, you can see it kills some mutants in one hit. Once you get the timing down, you'll be able to kill a charging mutant with some practice, but the hitbox is a little weird, so you have to swing before the mutant gets on you, so you'll get the hang of it when you try it. Also, if you randomly get the thrust blessing on your upgrades, keep or use that. It's so juicy for one-shot builds, but we'll do that in another video. Your attack patterns are super simple. 2 heavies, push attack, repeat for constant wave clear. You can spam lights for strike down, or then do 2 lights then a heavy for a big strike down. Honestly, your most common pattern will probably be constant heavies, but if you get in a pinch, the light spam will get you out of most horde situations. Moving on, we have our Bolt Gun. Damage, collateral, and reload speed are your priorities, with mobility being your dump stat. For blessings, we want Shattering Impact for our ranged brittleness debuff and Inspiring Barrage. You can switch out Inspiring Barrage for like Glory Hunter or Pinning Fire. Really, this blessing is up to you, but I find that the toughness regen you get from Inspiring Barrage is just really nice to have, and it's like a quick way to survive if you're in trouble. Perks are of course the golden standard of Carapace and Maniac. You can swatch out Carapace for Flak, which is totally up to you. Personally, I like getting Carapace enemies out of the way as fast as possible, and the Boltgun's Burst Fire does a really incredible job. That's its favorite thing to do. Finally, for our Curios, we want to focus on wounds, and this will be even better for our martyrdom build. For the Curio perks, add like damage resistance to the enemies you hate most, but I recommend ranged damage dealers like Gunners, Tox Flamers, Snipers. Unfortunately, this build kind of suffers against enemies far away, so rely on your team to take them out, or you just dodge. Step 3 is our talent tree. This build doesn't have very much variety. It's laser focused on being like a tank bruiser support, so we want to beeline down to martyrdom, picking up just a few important side pieces on the way. Immolation grenades for increased horde clear, damage, and zone denial. Benediction for toughness, damage reduction for extra tank and you and your allies. If you're building a tank, you don't really get much better than the Chorus combat ability. You'll get a full stagger on all the enemies within range, and depending on what playstyle, you can switch out like the toughness damage reduction after 5 pulses, for the pulse that does like increased damage after all 5 pulses. After that, we are of course going to be picking up martyrdom. The huge buff to damage, attack speed, and toughness damage reduction will make you feel like a god. In addition to this, whenever you get hit, you get your Chorus ability reduced for each little bit of health you lose, so You know, pretty much you're going to be spamming it all the time. The extra wounds you take will also give you more chances to go down, but like, let's be honest, that sucks, so you know, don't go down. The closer you get to dying, the riskier the playstyle becomes, but you become a bonking god. Even Vulcan would be proud with how you swing a hammer. The amount of zeal, the amount of righteousness, it's enough to make a Black Templar blush. In the video we have general tips. The real power of this build comes together with staying with your team and being mindful that you are getting most or all of your allies in your pulse radius. The extra toughness damage reduction, or extra damage depending on what you choose, can make or break your team. Also be mindful that you can lose your chorus pulse in the middle of using it. Hitting your block or attack keys will interrupt it, as well as any enemies that displace your movement. Oxbursters, mutants, hounds, and even boss grabs, if you are unlucky enough, will immediately end your ability and put you in a shitty situation. You also need to be mindful of when you are powering up your Thunderhammer. This will leave you in an open state to get bonked relentlessly by Poxwalkers and other Nurgle minions. My tried and true method for safety is power up, dodge back, and hold heavy. Your powered up attacks will only proc on armor or specialists, so you power it up by accident and you are swinging in Poxwalkers, you don't get any extra benefit. Really focus on like keeping your cool and getting through the horde to the enemies that you actually need to take down fast. The biggest priorities, like the enemies that are a nightmare for your team, are mostly maulers, bulwarks, and crushers. For all of these enemies, lead with a respectable powered up charged heavy onto weak points or the bulwark shield respectively. Then start light spamming on their heads for max brittleness and damage. If you don't want to charge into a horde of problem enemies, good news! The bolt gun will do that for you, so you can just take them down from afar. If you do decide to play the riskier bruiser damage playstyle, be mindful that you can still go down extremely fast. Revenant is really useful for getting out of these shitty situations, and with how much base damage you do, you should be able to get the full Revenant amount of health back. Still, if you are in like a cramped situation, you might as well count your seconds before your death. When it comes to using your grenades, the immolation grenades are extremely useful for reviving teammates, area denial, and just in general good for getting rid of elites and specialists. That being said, be mindful of where you throw them, because I'll just be completely honest, if a scab bomber throws a grenade, I can't tell the difference. I know that our immolation grenades are a little bit more golden, but like I can't tell at all. Yeah, so just, you know, if you're using like team voice or something, just call out friendly or bad fire. That's just like a nice little je ne sais quoi, as they say. I don't know what that means. Anyway, that's all for this build. If you like the video, please like and subscribe as it really helps out. And as a heads up, I'm probably going to do a different video than what I originally planned for, since the veteran Keystone update is coming with the anniversary update, so there's no reason to really do a veteran build. You can comment down below for the class you want to have a build for, and I'll consider it. Just know, I won't play Psyker because they are lame as melted Scutterbotch Lalas, which for those who don't know, is a melted butterscotch ice cream cone. But really, thanks for being here and have fun, rejects.